Hi everyone, thanks for joining me. Nothing's going on, is it? No new energies, no new sensations, easy on the body, people getting lots of sleep, no pains, no dreams, no problems. It's pretty crazy and wild, that's for certain. Pop your name in the chat and say hi. I've got notes to share from the last few days, and then following on from that, I have a video to do about the twins, the divine counterparts. Got some really nice information to share there that's generally kind of directed to or at the aspect of the divine masculine, and then I will be into the energies of February. But I'm here in Auckland in New Zealand, where we have had considerable flooding, places in our city, roadways where traffic travels, and footpaths where people are up to their chests and up to their necks. And so we're in this, it's like a multi-dimensional cleansing and clearing, that is for certain. When I tuned into the energies on, I think, Saturday, I mean we're Tuesday today, so we've had a big deluge, and then we've had sort of ongoing rain from then, and we're expected to have more. But the energy of it made my lips curl when I tuned in on Saturday morning. My lips curled, and I'm like, ooh, that is not very nice energy. And so that was my clue that we were purging deeply underground. So hello Charlotte, hi Ciela. Oh lovely, is that Ciela who I know personally? I think it might be. Hi Raoul, hi Dawn, hi Margaret, hi Craig. Yeah, so it's massive, isn't it? And what must be going on for people who, don't have too much of a deeper understanding about it. I guess they're just delivering it, feeling it, exploring it, sensing it from a different dimensional viewpoint. I'm certainly showing this very interesting construct, which is hard to get my head around in a physical place, that we're really, everything's happening on so many dimensional levels, so on the physical level there's this physical clearing, on the energetic level there's an energetic clearing, there's this merging of the dimensional spaces, there's this uprising, this deepening, this purging, this clearing, this cleansing, this setting in of the new, this bringing in of the higher. So all of this is all happening all at the same time. It's so challenging to get some kind of conscious construction on it, and I'm showing that it's all to, it's like get into the present moment with it, because that is all that we have any semblance of grip on, is this present moment. Raoul's saying last week's great purge moon, and then so many storm experiences. Yeah, so we could see that this is happening exactly as that, in this physical way in our world, affected by the astrology, that it could be that we're cleaning out the dark, and it could be that we're letting in the light, it could be that we are purging and clearing, and it could be that we're raising in consciousness, and it's actually all of those. And so we're seeing things happen in our physical world, we're feeling things happen in our physical bodies, in our energetic world, in our visionary world. It's all kind of happening at once. It's swirly, it's dynamic, it's hard to explain, but it's easy to explore. And that's what I want to suggest, is that we do this exploration in this very sensory way in our body. So these are my notes from the 28th, interspersed with a few pages of other things that I will get back to, but not in this video. So on the 28th, I was showing the collective, each with a big pole, like the kind of pole that you might have on an old clothesline, 3 meters high, a stick pole, really, a pole that you might cut in the bush, but to use for walking with, but twice as tall as you. And so each being in the collective, walking with one of those, navigating these streaming rivers of truth by pushing their pole into the ground to negotiate and take on board one small piece of information at a time, and that this process was helping each person to feel more secure and stable in these fast flowing energies, because by goodness, they've been fast, they've been intense, they've pushed us around in all sorts of ways. And I'll talk to you about all of those variant symptoms that you may have been experiencing. And what Gaia said is for light workers to give these people space. So these people who are just beginning to have this experience of, in a way, not being able to be so much in control of their world, to give them space to negotiate all of this immense change at their own pace. So that's the first message. And on the 29th, I wrote, I feel like we are purging here in Auckland to the deepest level. And as I tune in, I curl my lips. So that was my experience. I didn't get to sleep until 5 a.m. on that morning, that night. There was just so much energy around, very, very swirly. And yeah, my impression was definitely that the tunnels were being cleared, that to a very deep, deep level. So that was when the flooding occurred. Yes. And that what Gaia said to me is that we would have 2 sets of purging. So that was the deep purging, the deep clearing, so deep in our bodies and deep in our earth and deep under our city. And that we would then have a more surface level clearing. Yeah. So I wrote this. Eshi kiana e te a. A koe irana a te ha. Iki ashi e ti ana e te ara e kia shui ata. And so that was a message related to the weather. So the song that came through on the 30th was We're Not Going to Take It. So you remember that song by Twisted Sister? We're not gonna take it. No, we ain't gonna make it. We're not gonna take it anymore. It was a punk band. Not well sung by me, but you'll get the drift. So Gaia on the 30th was saying that to do a reminder review, to remind everybody that we are spiraling up back to paradise, to our place in the galaxy, to our planet and human ascension. So we're in the process of this, and we're in the sort of final ending parts of the play. We're returning to our original divine plan, Lemurian blueprint, taking us back to paradise, to the Edenic codes and life, and that each of us needs to be still, and be receptive, to remember to breathe and be in the present moment. And if you feel to be alone or in solitude, to do so. That this deep inner contemplation is a useful place to be, to examine what comes up. And so old things might be coming up. So we're in this ongoingness, aren't we? Where we are, coming into our higher, we're merging as well. So we are, that's why it's so massive. So we're clearing out and we're merging in. We are merging in our higher self and our multidimensional selves, past, present, future, the gifts, talents, the cellular memories, the DNA reconnection, the codings and codexes coming in through the sun and coming in through the crystalline lines, ley lines and structures and grid lines in our world. And so just to become the observer, that is what Gaia is reminding us. There's kind of no doing here. There's no doing, there's just being. There's being with the breath, there's being with the moment. What comes up here for me? So I think yesterday I was a bit sort of grunty and grumpy, and I had no reason for that. And I didn't feel that there wasn't anything that came up specific to me or my history or my life, but certainly I felt like that was the energy that was moving through me. And yeah, having lots of energetic things go on for me especially in my head, in my crown, in the back of my head, and in my eyes. And heat, so much heat in the body, sweating, especially sweating in my head. So I wanted to remind you also, so I know some of you have seen spaceships in the skies. So we have millions of observers around our planet, because essentially, you will have heard me say this, but it's nice to remember that what we are doing has never been done before. Never in the history of the omniverse have people ascended by maintaining and alchemizing their physical form. And so that is what we are doing. We're alchemizing from carbon to crystalline silica. We're alchemizing from being a third dimensional body to being a fifth dimensional form. We're doing this as humanity and as planet, and it's incredible. It's incredible, and we're all doing it. We're all partaking in this at some level and in some kind of level of the spiral. So, you remember here in this painting of Gaia, that's the spiral of ascension. That's the spiral of the DNA helix. It's the ascension flame. It's the spiral of ascension for humanity and of the planet. We do that individually, we do that collectively, and each of that contributes to the whole. And we're in those top spirals now. So we've been being watched because of this. It's guaranteed. There's no going back. We are doing this. We are making this. We're in the process now of kind of the end of the end game. We were breaking down the old paradigms. There's more of it showing up, isn't there? Not yes, to us, but we are watching things show up that we've probably already been aware of. But it's showing up in mainstream social media, in mainstream media, in newspapers, on radio shows, and on television interviews. And so we're watching the old, be broken down and fall apart, and these old templates and their energetic flows are being interrupted They're being transmuted to allow the new templates to drop in, and many of you will have a role to play, a part to bear in these new templates coming in. So we're having this 3D, 4D, 5D, 6D, 7D, and up to 12D merging. That's another reason why our bodies are going through all of this. And we are merging to see it all from many levels. So, you know, these floods here in Auckland, you could say that they were cleansing, clearing. The waters have felt, I'm interested to hear whether you agree, but the waters have felt very clean to me, the rain waters. They felt clean and clear. And so, you know, it's felt like, looked like orchestrated weather, that's for certain. We've probably, in the history of our city, not had floods like this before. I don't know of any. And it certainly showed up to me as this purging and clearing, right? Our city is built on a huge myriad of tunnels, tunnels that are exceptionally well built. And I know about them in a variety of ways, but there are massive tunnels as well. There's tunnels all through our country. I did a scan of that once. It surprised me. But here in Auckland, there's lots of tunnels. There's public access to lots of tunnels in and under Devonport, for example. They were some of the, I think, Navy tunnels there that the public has access to. There are tunnels all under Auckland City. There are tunnels used for running the what do you call it? The services, electrical and so on. They're run conduited in some of the tunnels. I know that there are tunnels that are 3 stories deep under the city. I know that exists. There's 6 ladders to descend, and that there is a huge tunnel under the city between Auckland City and Newmarket that a truck can drive in. It's that big. And we know that the train station ends up in a tunnel that was pre-existing in downtown of the city. So what we don't know is why they were built and what they were for. But we know that they are there, and I'm showing that there's quite a big network and that they are all through our country, these tunnels. So showing that the clearing of these has been part of this cleansing as well. So clearing out the ancient debris, the old debris. And so I don't know exactly what's going on in these tunnels, but I imagine that some of it's been around smuggling and illicit trading, and that's perhaps what was going on in the early days. And I don't know in this time, but there are people who are New Zealanders who have spoken about them having experiences under there in terms of trafficking and things like that as well. So these things are all being cleared out because energetically we need to be cleared out. Remember, you know, Gaia has said for quite some time New Zealand will be last to be first. So here we are, we're having our Auckland experience where we've had rain that has taken a number of lives. I think we've lost 4 lives here. Something like 40 houses that have slipped down hills, buildings that have moved, and people being evacuated out of their houses and water, walking on the roads that are in water that's chest deep. And so we can see that there's a number of influencing factors. So we will become more community connected through this. People in New Zealanders are great at connecting in disaster, and forming ways and teams to support one another in times of hardship. And so we know that this will be one of the offshoots that's positive for this. We don't know what will happen in other places. In industry, we will have interruptions with industry and commerce, and there's going to be a very big cleanup job. But you know, we sit on two harbours here in this city. It's very unique. We have a lot of water, and so we've got the benefits of receiving all of this cleansing and clearing back through the centuries is what I am showing. And so what Gaia showed me also, that at this time there are these dragon lines. So you could say that they're called different names. So they're called song lines, ley lines. What else are they called? Crystal lines, dragon lines, serpent lines. And she's saying that these are close to the surface of the earth and they're being cleaned out. And so this is referencing the inner earth dragon lines and the interference to connecting nodes that enable greater consciousness of community, communication across the planet, and another factor regarding keeping the land in lower vibration. So that's just another interesting factor. There's still more cleaning required of these, but not of the magnitude thus far experienced. And remember, the holographic nature of water makes it the perfect vehicle for final clearing. And so I'm showing that these are cleared. If you think about undulating lines as those sort of dragon lines, those ley lines, as undulating lines, that it's just in the bottom of those concave bits now. That's the final clearing out. So that relates to the wells or the lower levels or walls of these energetic tunnels. And when New Zealand rises, the world rises. So that's this. New Zealand will be last to be first. So this land, as we know, is potent, powerful, and when it is returned to its pristine, high frequency, as the mountain peaks and ridgeline of ancient Lemuria. So that's what I was showing, and I'm showing we rise up out of the water. The sounds will ring. This is quite beautiful. The higher celestial notes, actually, the highest celestial notes throughout the heavens. Hence the Gaia spoken. New Zealand will be last to be first. And so she is saying the higher cosmic notes are about to be released. The levels and divine energies for higher vision, higher thought, higher word, higher love, higher empowerment, higher connection, and higher intimacy. And then today felt like this to me. I wrote this: nature is whispering up a storm today. Here where I am. Watch and observe what shows up to you in each now moment. As we reach into what is very, very likely our final purging. So at 5 a.m. I got up this morning and I felt very strange. The only way I can describe it, I felt as though someone had poured concrete into my legs. They felt so incredibly heavy. And I went back to bed, and then when I got up a couple of hours later, they felt still heavy, but not full of concrete, but definitely very heavy in the body. And so we and you might be experiencing all sorts of symptoms in your body. They're wide and varied. You may be feeling pain or dizziness, nausea, cramping, limbs, similar in the digestive system. You might feel edgy, cranky, irritable. There might be all sorts of things going on in your eyes, your ears, your gums, your teeth, your throat. Your throat. I just about choked today. All of a sudden, just in my throat. I'm sure it wasn't mine. I mean, I believe that it's always ours, but it so it will be to a degree, but it didn't feel like it was mine. But yeah, I was coughing and spluttering, and it was really very strong. Temperature changes, sweating, hot and cold, loss of appetite, or feeling like eating when you're not even hungry, um, and itchiness, especially in the face. So, all of those. So Gaia is saying, whilst we are in the ascension spiral and moving on up and clearing and up leveling, we could each be having different experiences. So remember that it doesn't really show what is going on for each of us, doesn't determine or signal where we are at. But each of us could be having different experiences to break down the old paradigms, because what you're breaking down might be different to what I'm breaking down. And so on. And so don't get into comparison about it. But each of us breaking down the old paradigms and bringing in the new codes and codexes. So, soul-wise, we've made contractual arrangements that we will do that at this time. However, collectively, we are all ascending, and perhaps at different levels of the spiral, with each progression moving us upwards, making it easier. This is the other thing, it's the people at the front of the line are have got their machete and they are cutting the pathway. So those who are, leading the way up the ascension spiral are helping others and making it easier for them to come as we will reach the tipping point. And so we're very, very close to that. I can tell you. All will take their chosen position, placement, and location. Also, there's the split of the dimensional shift and alignment showing up more clearly defined now. You might be noticing that, like people are dropping out of our energetic vortex, really. Those not currently sharing higher dimensional space may orbit out of your frequency. Let it be, let them go. Everybody's made their soul choice about what they will do at this time and how they will do it. And it really doesn't mean that where they end up isn't different to where you end up, but they might be having a different experience, a different trajectory, a different pathway. So just let it be, let it go, let them go, allow them to leave. Do that in love, with love, from love. Frequency will be the overarching barrier and signal for all of our lives. And everything and everyone, including experiences and material possessions, will be perceived by frequency. So, that's going to be our mode of interaction. Is everything will happen by frequency? Is that frequency in alignment with ours, and it will spiral out of our field, really like a spinning vortex? That will be the kind of experience that we will have. So I think that that's the main thing. There's a lot. I'll do a divine counterpart video tomorrow. But let's see what's here. I keep thinking, where will we be tomorrow? Like, that's how close it all feels. Where did I get to? Hello, Dawn. Hello, Margaret. Hi, Craig. Oh, yeah, cool. You still living in the same place, Ciela? Rael, after last week's great purge moon, so much storm experiences to put away more layers of us and them and bring us back to us. But I have cast my vote to decline further rain. Yes. So I really got shown, Rael, that what we would have would be more rain, but it will be lighter, and it would be like just clearing up the surface. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Champion for the cause. Hello, Beach Weave. Clarion Call is on the way, Tam says, about the notes. Yeah, notes and nodes, those are the two words, and codes and codex. So it's all being released and illuminated and returned. And yeah, I certainly am feeling, this blissful a lot of the time as well. That's the other thing I didn't mention. A lot of you are probably feeling that. Margaret having heaps of hot flushes. Yeah, don't think you're alone with that. And it's not, they're not menopausal hot flushes. It's this transmutative energy inside our bodies that are doing that. Beachweed, me too. Hot, then cold, feet on fire for hours. Yeah. So the feet are really the great sort of transducer at this time. So do what you can to move it out from your feet, whether that's stamping up and down on the ground or, in a bowl of water. Amanda's saying she's been feeling very tired and blocked up. Okay, so drink lots of water, Amanda, and breathe things out through your feet and into the ground. Oh, lovely, Ciela. If I can catch the DC message tomorrow, I will try and share there. Oh, fill me in on that, on what that means. Oh, I see. I know what you mean. Yes, the divine counterpart. Thank you. Have you talked about the green comet? No, I don't know anything about the green comet, but that's a curious colour, isn't it? It's likely to do with heart activations. So we are definitely receiving higher and higher and like more and more expansion in the heart. I bet lots of you are feeling that. It's like, well, we're just moving into this kind of unconditional loving experience where things don't really bother us. We're able to bob along on the surface, in relative buoyancy and balance. Hi, Billy. Hi. So, yeah, I've kind of finished, Billy, so you'll have to go back and listen. But I feel really excited. Now, there's something that's happened. There are more people who are having awakenings. There are more people who are having this experience of facing their traumas, facing things that are arising for them. So this is, physical evidence that the collective is awakening. There's more precision coming in the balancing as well. So each of us, coming into this higher balance of masculine, feminine, and that's certainly, what is going on in the divine counterpart collective applies to all of us in our masculine and feminine aspects as well as with our connections. And yeah, integration is a key word, Art Girl. She's saying light Good evening, lights. Feel masculine, feminine, integrating more now. Yeah, so there's a lot of release that's being done, and so now is that it's integrating into the higher aspects of self. Um, it's integrating into the balance of that, so that everything can kind of, it's like this last little bits. Russia and Ukraine nuclear plant. Guy has said to me right from the get-go, Larissa, that we will not experience nuclear blasts that affect us because it's I don't know the rule. I don't know the name of the rule, but there's this, like, there's this galactic code, and that is a no-no, and it's not allowed, and it would be um, minimized, or would be interfered with. There's technology that's way beyond what we are aware of here, and that will never happen. We don't ever have to worry about that. That it's like, it's false. That's what I want. That's the word I get around it. It's false. It's fear mongering. So this is this other, this is this other part of the play, right? There are these beings, these institutions, these levels that want to keep us in fear. They're still playing out their game, and so the mainstream media is working on that camp still. It'll flip over. There's more and more coming out, but you can see that these are designed to keep people in fear on one level, to keep them in a lower dimensional frequency, and then on another level, it's designed to push people to wake up, to be empowered, to come into their sovereignty, to declare their boundaries. Um, Oh, that's nice. That's a nice experience. Champion for the cause saying, just had a friend stay on the weekend for guidance, awkwardly listened to my story, but is now getting my words as she's starting to experience it. Oh, sorry. She always listened to my story, but now is getting the words as she's starting to experience it for herself. Yes, it's a real sense that I have that the collective is, I would say, the rigidity has dissipated, that they're softer, so they're able to receive more. It's huge when you think that what people have gone through in the last few years, under the belief that they have done the right thing, or that they've needed to obey or comply for whatever rationale they had. That's confronting when there's more and more evidence that's come out. And even I was intrigued, I saw something today that indicated that someone, I mean, this will be flipped as well, I definitely got that, but he got a 5-year prison sentence for swapping out something like 30,000 vials of the COVID vaccine for saline. Well, that to me was divine intervention, because that's what I got shown by God. That God said there was divine intervention of about 30%. So that just showed up in something that someone posted. It's all for awakening, and it's all for people to be able to see a bigger, higher perspective. This whole pantomime is all to awaken us as humanity before we were completely destroyed, because in a way a lot of humanity has been bobbing along with the water up to here, and so this was to push them up by pushing them down a bit, so they had to kind of fight for themselves, I guess. Champion for the cause saying anything nuclear should be nothing more than holographic in nature. Yeah, that's a very good point. So there's a lot of illusion. I haven't like gone into this deeply, but Gaia started to show me something yesterday, yeah, I think yesterday, about how it's going to be, and I've talked about this in some way, but I haven't looked at what it is when we do it. That it's like the sky peels back and we see something unique and different that's beyond what we thought and believed. But on the sort of in the bigger picture of it all, we are returning to our original divine plan blueprints. We're returning to, living as we did in Lemuria with those codes where it's all of these ways of looking out for one another and working in higher consciousness and being interconnected with all of the strata of the land. The elementals, they are, well, not awakening, they are enlivening. They are becoming more available. We are becoming more attuned to being able to see them. So keep a lookout for that, and just keep looking at everything from, okay, so from this three-dimensional, so let's say here, so here from the three-dimensional level, our land has become soggy, and it's become impassable in lots of ways, and people have lost their homes. But this is our biggest city here is Auckland in New Zealand. If you're not from here, we're a little pokey country, but of, I think, I should have looked that up, but maybe 4.5. Who knows? Seven. I think we might be 7 million. And I think we're like 1.8 million who live here in Auckland. And so this is the largest city. We live on 2 harbours. We're a little narrow isthmus. And we have had this torrential downpour that has cleaned out and cleared and made our energetic space more pristine. And not, when you think about that, 40 houses out of all of that have been displaced. I mean, it might be more, might become more, but it's not. And this is what GAIA has said about all of this that's going to go on. And, I've seen other things, but I feel not to share them because I don't feel I'm supposed to. But there's this cleansing, clearing, and that can go on in a whole lot of different ways, but it's about the energetics. And so we do that on that physical sense, and then, we do it in this energetic sense, and then this affects us because, we are connected to the land, and then that affects the energetic and the frequencies of our land. And here I've always seen that we become a place where people come for refreshment, for renewal, that we will have lots of retreats here, that people will travel across the world. We'll have transport where that's not such a big deal anymore, and they will receive the new codes because they come in here first, just because of our geographical location. That's what GAIA is showing me. So we're cleaning and clearing so we can hold these new codes and frequencies and raise higher in consciousness, become a more conscious community, and be on our way. So this is the last to be first. We've been asleep. We've been the most asleep. And so it's a sign of how close we are to tipping into the new. And yeah, this holographic sky, it's going to open up, and we'll see maybe everything very, very differently. I can't tell you because I haven't tuned into that, but I will. I shall. Yes. Okay, what else is here? Yeah, Chernobyl. 4.9. Is that us here? 4.9 million. Is that where we're up to now? I saw the New World Order decided that on their menu we become 3.4. I thought that we were more than that, but I'm not the person to quote figures. Thank you, Astro Girl. If you're talk Arcto Girl, are you talk? Let me say that correctly. Arctos Girl. Are you speaking of New Zealand when you're speaking of that 4.9 million population, not including spirit world residents? Yeah, I know we've got massive spiritual, I want to say, countenance here, and that's why we have to clean out the land as well, because that's all part of our new role. So holographic is not the word for me without going in any details. So illusionary, overarching, overriding imagery is what I'm referencing when I talk about holographic. But then there's also the holographic nature of water. So GAIA talks about the structure of water being the perfect carrier of information and codes, and that we need to learn how to use the holographic nature of water, which becomes like self-replenishing, self-repeating, self-replicating. So we can infuse something, a molecule of water, with something, with a frequency, with words, with codes, and as we release it into itself, it activates, catalyzes, spreads, shares those frequencies. So this is the way in which we will work with water in our world very shortly. Archaics talks about the holographic sky. Okay. Project Blue Beam can project a large image in the sky that's very real. Doesn't need to be a static image. That's true. Role of Italy land. Do you have any ideas? What I see just then, it's as though Italy folds in a little bit, as though down the centre of it, it appears the land, this folds in a little bit. So the coast rises up a little bit and the centre depresses a little bit. I want to say there's a lot of connection to gold in Italy as a mineral resource. And so I don't think that's referencing all the Vatican gold that we know was taken. I feel that there'll be pilgrimage. There'll be a lot of pilgrimage. Just asking what that's about, pilgrimage in Italy. I mean, we know that those, I never remember the name of them, but those, the Camino goes across the top. There's a incredible conscious community at the top of Italy. There's something that links into the centre line, like dropping. What's that to do with? Something to do with ancients, the ancients. Yeah, like a depressed, like a ley line that's like a trough underneath. So I get around that. All of these experiences that we're having that happen in our body and happen on the planet, Gaia speaks of, the micro and the macro. She says there'll be minimal lives lost, but that we'll have other weather phenomena in different places depending on what it is. Oh yes, thank you. Okay, so now, oh yeah, right. Thank you very much. Yes, I did. I did used to have to know those statistics once upon a time in my work. yeah, so we're close. We're close, and so just know that your main role here is to deal with what comes up and to maintain your vibration and exude love. So I wish you so much love, and I thank you so much for joining me here. And I will maybe see a lot of you tomorrow. I'm not sure. Yeah, I will likely come on at about 10 o'clock tomorrow, NZ time. You're very, very welcome. Are there any other questions? Oh, I should tell you, when Fukushima erupted, I had this experience where I asked about it, and I saw these moving little twinkling lights in the sky, and I zoomed in on them, and they were angels. And then I zoomed in and I saw that one of them was my father. My father died young, and so he's doing beautiful work in spirit, and so he was working with the angels, and they were moving the beings, their spirit, off the land, and taking them into the other realms for healing and renewal. So when we go through this time, it's really important to kind of be in your humanity and yet not. So just know that all is perfect, and that it might not be perfect from your human self. So people might disappear, people who you love might disappear, but it doesn't mean they won't come back. Gaia's shown me 12 different ways that we will ascend here in this space, and some will move through and stay on the earth, some will be taken off, and because the wave will be too strong for them, so they'll be taken off, they'll sort of go into some kind of regeneration program. There'll be some who leave because they're done. Their job is to hold the density until we're ready to go. There are some who are going to leave and return in a new body. There are some who are going to leave and return in a refurbished body. There are some who are going to choose to continue having a third dimensional experience on a similar planet, because they choose to. There's no like, this is the right way here. This is all an experience, and we've all chosen to have it in whatever way our soul has chosen. We're also in this time where the connections that people have are going to be more energy based, more consciousness based, more frequency based. And so, this is the dance of changing location and changing partners and changing geography and changing jobs. And I'm going to do a whole series of in-depth things, but yep, we're in that, and we're in the renewal of nature. So elementals taking on a stronger role and focus, and our trees in that sentient way. There are various beings that lead the way, but the trees, they hold the sacred codes, or a lot of the sacred codes. So yep, there's a lot for us to learn from nature once we get back into the swing of it. And once there's more, it's like the grips of the frequency loosen, and they can come into their own, and so there'll be more interaction between us and nature, and we will be more attentive to their needs. We'll have less need for material possessions, and our lives will become very focused on improving our psychic skills and abilities, and raising our consciousness and our contribution to that, and in the collective. Yeah, so there'll be lots of wonderful opportunities for each of us to be connecting with loved ones from the past. There'll be lots of loved ones from the past who return during this time to have this experience. It's moving, it's a blessing, it's a privilege, and some days it doesn't feel like it, does it? But we not only chose to be here, we were selected to be here because we were going to be strong enough to get through it, to do the transmuting, to hold the codes, to hold space, to come into our hearts, to raise our consciousness, to absorb our multidimensional aspects, and to become these beautiful light beings with unconditionally loving hearts, being non-judgmental and just wishing for the highest and the bestest and the goodest for all. And so that's what we're on the edges of, everyone. So much love to you from my heart. Thank you for joining me, and have a wonderful rest of the day or evening or afternoon, wherever you are. Feel free to send questions. I'm going to do little in-depth topics about a whole lot of things. I'm going to speak about. I've got too much to do really, but in my flow, I am going to speak about specific topics of change that will come, things that we can begin to consider and ruminate over, because we'll have little bits of input into the way our new world operates. We were chosen because we like intense energies. Yeah, they are intense, and we're doing it, aren't we? Thank you, thank you, thank you. Yeah, I'd love to. Alrighty, bye everyone.